Okay, welcome. So this session in particular today was born out of the community asking for a virtual assistant to come on and share how do you actually do it? Like in theory, we all understand and that sounds really great, but like how do we actually organize? How do we create culture? How do we connect to our VAs? How do we organize all of the things? What can you do? What can you not do? Like kind of best practices of what it looks like to work with somebody virtually. So I was talking to Kyle and his colleague Mary Claire, and they're like, "Why don't you have one of our VAs come on and talk about how they do that?" And I was like, "That's actually a great idea." And it was really funny. So I think Carrie Brodo was the one who asked, like, "Hey, do you have someone that can do this?" And we had an advisor who had a really great VA, and she was like, "Yeah, I could do that for you." And then and then her VA quit. And we were like, "Oh no!"
Oh no.
So this was the perfect solution to the problem. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Caroline, for just being. I know this is maybe out of your wheelhouse or what you normally are used to doing, but thank you for being here and being willing to share kind of what this looks like for you guys.
I'm definitely excited to kind of share, yeah, a little bit of my story and definitely answer all the questions that you guys have and hopefully more.
Okay, perfect. Well, good. I'm going to let you guys, I know you have kind of like a few minutes that you just kind of want to share about
Yeah.
what you do, what that looks like. I'm going to work on making sure everybody can get into Zoom while you do that. So I'm going to go camera off here for just a second, but I will let you take it from here, Kyle.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks, Libby. Hey, everyone. So great to join you all today. I thought I would do some brief introductions and then wanted to tell you all just a little bit about Belay, whether you've heard about us or not, and also just really interested, maybe even in the chat, would be interested to know, have you ever worked with a virtual assistant or at any level of an executive assistant before? And also just curious if you are working with one today or not. I think that'll kind of help guide some of our discussion today. But I am the VP of Growth here at Belay. I'm honored to just get to come alongside busy leaders like yourself doing all kinds of work. We love working with financial advisors as well, in particular just wanting to help you all increase your capacity, increase your impact, both for your clients and to help you grow your business, but also in your personal lives and the other leadership roles that you likely hold within your community and other areas of your life. So that is what is an honor for me, is just to get to go and tell the story of Belay and what we do with our outsourced staffing solutions. A huge part of that story is getting to also partner with people like Caroline Tipton. And Caroline is an incredible example of one of the contractors that we get to partner with. Caroline is a client services assistant here with Belay, and I won't steal too much of her story, but she's got over 6 years of experience in the wealth management space. She's been with Belay now for the past year, serving clients under the Belay umbrella. And as I've gotten to know a little bit more about Caroline's story, it's so impactful. You know, she is super skilled. You'll see that she is who you want as your right hand strategic partner, but she has experience in the past working more in the 8 to 5 in office role, supporting a financial advisor. And as the needs at home for her continued to grow, and in her personal life, wanting maybe a little bit of a different balance, that maybe remote and fractional out staffing is able to allow her to kind of be both of those things in all of those worlds, while at the same time not losing what she's really great at, what she's really skilled at, right? Getting to be a high level executive assistant, getting to come alongside financial advisors and use some of those skill sets that she has. So I'm going to let Caroline do a majority of the talking as we kind of move into the Q&A, because I know you all are going to want to hear directly from her and what her experience is. But just real quick, I did want to share a little bit about Belay, just kind of like who we are and what we are really trying to bring to the table here. So Belay has been around for the past 15 years. We've had the honor to serve more than 25,000 clients, not just financial advisors across all different industries, but I would say thousands of those 25,000 are in the wealth management space. So that is somewhere that we really enjoy getting to come alongside you all. Often small teams, maybe some one man, one woman bands that really want to help increase their output and what you do. And getting that right support can really be the great next step. And I would say our superpower, and hopefully you all get to see that firsthand today with someone like Caroline, is that we go through tens of thousands of different applications and we take the top 3% of those applicants. So we do a lot of the work to not only find these people, but vet them and get them ready on our bench to come alongside busy leaders and serve them. And because we find such quality candidates, that leads us to a 93% first match success rate. So really trying to remove that administrative burden, even of finding the people, hiring, vetting resumes, all of that. We fully manage that for you all. So real quick, how's it work? We need to get to know your needs. We think we are experts at going out and finding executive assistants and client services assistants, but then we want to customize as much of that as possible to your business, your needs, your personality, all of that. And then we match you based on that criteria and help you prioritize what those needs are to a professional from our talent pool. Now we stay connected all the way through. We don't just make the match and then say, okay, you're off on your own. We have what we call a client success consultant. Think of them like an account manager. They are with you from the very beginning to do the interview, to help understand what your needs are, what your personality preferences are, more about your business, what technology and software you're using, and then going and finding that right person and making sure that goals and priorities and timelines and all of that are being hit between you and your executive assistant. We've got a couple different levels of support for advisors. We have an executive assistant. So think of this, if you need more general administrative support, right? Email, calendar, a lot of those big buckets, travel that you're probably thinking of. We can serve that and do serve many financial advisors with an executive assistant. We also have specific for you all a client services assistant. So the biggest difference here is that we're bringing in someone that has direct experience on the operational side, working within the wealth management and financial advisory client, and really being able to bring that experience into the table. So we can speak some more to that and specifically what those things look like today. I think it'll be great to hear from Caroline on some of those things. But I did just want to kind of set the stage for who Belay is, the opportunity that we've had to serve all these tens of thousands of business leaders, and specifically our focus and desire to keep coming alongside financial advisors. So, with that, Libby, unless there's any initial questions on that, let's open it up for Q&A and just kind of hear what everybody's thinking from there, and we'll dive in. Does that sound good?
Perfect. I will start the Q&A with some of the questions. I'm adding people right now. I will start with some of the questions that I got. So kind of thinking like almost like timeline wise. So once you're matched with a VA or once you find a VA, how does so this is the hang up I hear from advisors with like a virtual setup is that they're not sitting here in my office. Like, how do I train them well? How do I onboard them well? How do I figure out what I'm even supposed to give them and what they're capable? Like, what does that look like? Maybe Belay has a structure for that, or maybe Caroline, you can speak to that from what that's looked like with different advisors you've worked with. But the fear is I barely have any time to like get my poop in a group now. How am I gonna like explain to somebody else what I need when they're virtual? Like, am I making Loom videos and sending it? Like, what does that actually look like to start onboarding and training? Like, how do we even start?
So for sure, like with my line, with the client services assistant line, we are already have that experience. So we already know how to move money. We already know how to do the account transfers. We already know how to do the paperwork. So what I like to say is it's more about learning about the advisor and the advisor's practice and getting to know their communication style and how they assign things. So, okay, let's hop right in. And are you behind? One of my questions I love to ask, are you behind on your annual reviews? Do we need to get that caught back up? I can, as soon as I get access into the system, which, can sometimes be, those 2 to 3 weeks. But in that time, we're still having really great conversations of where are we at, what are the highlights, and then how are we assigning those tasks? And then every single week, I really encourage, everyone, and Belay encourages it too, to have a one-on-one with the advisor, 30 minutes, an hour. Let's just get realigned for the week and say, hey, this is kind of what we got going on. And at that time, that's whenever it's okay. Hey, I know that there's some account opening upcoming. What can you tell me about that client? And it's a lot more of just learning about who the advisor is, who the client is, and how I can better help the clients whenever I'm doing that onboarding for them. Because at that point, the advisor's not shouldn't have to be doing all of that client intake at that point. That's where I can kind of do some of that handoff, can kind of go ahead and get started on an account opening, or hey, so and so called in, this transaction needs to be done. Okay, got it. Or, hey, we had an annual review last week or a month ago, and this transfer isn't done yet. Okay, then I'm going to start doing that follow up. So it's a lot of finding some of those tasks that have been dropped, or kind of knowing kind of what is upcoming. So yes, there's a lot that we can start doing right away. And again, with this line, we I don't need to know. I already know how to do a lot of the transactional paperwork. I already know how to do that. I'm just learning about you and your practice.
Okay, so that gives me like heart palpitations thinking about like turning over account opening like immediately. I'm like, okay, what is like a little teeny tiny? So, okay, like I think about like little teeny tiny things that I could start giving right away, which also like doesn't move the needle really. Like, you know what I mean? Like you give away a lot of little tasks, like, yeah, that's super helpful, but those are big, those are like big,
Yes.
big kind of scary ones. So for an advisor that's like, okay, that actually sounds really scary, for me to turn over a big task to you quickly. How do you like, what's the best practice for getting them over that hump? Is it like, hey, I'll do it all and then I should send it back to you for your review? Like, how do you walk an advisor who doesn't have like a super experienced CSA like you? How do they delegate like well? Like, how do they show, here's what done looks like, here's that clarity piece? How do we start giving tasks to you?
In the account opening example, I see it as two ways. We could go, hey, open this account and I want to review it before it's sent for e-sign or the client comes back for a signing appointment. Or, hey, I did all this. Now I need you to send out the e-sign and do the follow-up with the client to make sure it does get signed. So it can kind of go both ways in an account opening. So, hey, yeah, absolutely. I want you to double check my work until we find that and build that trust. And, maybe it's two or three times. It's like, okay, yep, we're good. But again, it's just that communication, and those one-on-ones that are weekly are really beneficial for, the advisor and the admin in that scenario.
Yeah. Okay. Because like I'm even thinking like I gave my admin the, like, hey, create the Zoom links and then put them in school. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like something's wrong. So like those feel big and scary to me. So
Yeah.
advisors listening, what questions do you guys have? Like what is like the hump of how do you get over like training somebody? Is there like best practices that you guys have seen? Like, hey, I have this task that feels one-off to me, or maybe it's not an account opening, or maybe it is. Is it best for me to create like training videos, tools, like create a war chest or a library of that kind of stuff that I give you access to? Or is it best done like, hey, let's sit down, have the like that one on like that constant one-on-one training, or a combination of the two?
I'll
I
speak
would,
to that a little bit, Caroline.
yeah,
I think there's and I want to be realistic, especially in the first 30, 60, 90 days. I say in those first 30 days, there's a lot of collaboration that is going to set you up for long-term benefits, right? So even to speak to let's pull it back up a little bit too and say even something more general like email, right? So for me and my assistant, in the first 30, 60 days of email, really in the first 30 days, a lot of that was organization. Like, hey, we got to take this mess and we got to get it organized. But what that means by at the end of day 30 is now I've got the benefit of I actually only need to check my email a few times a day. I've got eyes on those emails all the time and they're being filtered through all the trash that comes through that I don't need to see. I don't see it. The five emails that are in my action folder that I do need to see, I see those when I need to see them, or I get a text message from my assistant that's saying, "Hey, something's on fire in your inbox. You need to get eyes there." And then I can go get eyes there, right? That's phase one. Phase two is, hey, there's tens of thousands of emails where my assistant is able to kind of see my tone, see my voice. How do I respond? Now she's starting to go in and actually draft up some responses on my behalf, but we're in day 35, right? Like we're building some trust and authority here before I'm fully handing that off. But now I'm able to go in, I see the draft response, and 9 out of 10 times I'm pressing send. If there's the 1 out of 10 time or two or three, I'm coaching her up of saying, hey, here's how I'd like to kind of make some tweaks and changes here, right? And it's not major changes. It's just more, this is how I would like to respond. Eventually we get to the point not long after 90 days where, okay, now you're actually sending out emails on my behalf. So I use that one example that can transfer over to many other things, but that is where, when you have a professional assistant coming in, they're also driving that. They are recommending to you to say, hey, here's kind of what this looks like over the next 30, 60 days. Emails one example that we can give, just so it sets expectations for you all as well, and you can build and work towards that to where now the long-term benefits by month 6, it's like, hey, email is yours, and now I'm doing 10% of the email that I was doing before I had my assistant.
hmm Yeah, I love that. And so probably I would think for an advisor prior to hiring, whether it's in office, virtual, whatever, starting to identify what are those tasks that I feel like I can start to give some, because that's a really like right, email feels like, oh, that's really big and heavy, but you're right. If it starts small with just go through and delete all of the stuff coming in from Old Navy. It like
That's
does
right.
not need to be here and I don't need to delete that. Like even if we just start really, really low, like if it doesn't look like it's to me, and here's like the maybe folder, like we could start smaller than maybe like something that feels really big and hairy, like like taking over my email entirely. Really just
That's
starting
right.
with kind of like baby steps. So Tom asked, and this is a good question for like solo advisor 101. Like what are your like the list of or even do you have a list of like common things that you're taking over for advisors like right away?
Definitely CRM stuff is a big one as well. Like, hey, making sure if you're using Jump AI, making sure the notes are getting synced over to Wealthbox or, to Redtail. Hey, let's make sure your CRM is up to date. Hey, then we're moving on to what's today's appointments? Okay, I'm going to run those reports. Then it's, hey, making sure that, hey, we opened up a new account. Hey, we need to make sure this is linked over here. We do the householding, we've got some combined statements to start doing, and it can start small in that way of, okay, like what's just that daily rhythm of, and again, those one-on-ones weekly of like, hey, I have an appointment with so and so. Okay, so then I'm saying, okay, I'll run the report in the morning, then you have it. And then I'm also familiarizing myself, hey, they've got a monthly ACH. This is their RMD. I'm getting to know the client a little bit more, but I've also probably got a tidbit from you on my Monday call of, hey, they are not tech savvy, so we don't even need to worry about online access. We don't need to worry about XYZ. Okay, sounds great. So, I'll help with the rest of that. And it is just some of those daily running reports, the birthday report, where are we at with next month's annual reviews? There's a lot of those reporting and kind of helping plan and set up that you as an advisor do not need to be doing anymore.
Yeah, and then Carolyn, are you just emailing people? Or are you actually like physically calling clients too to like schedule cleanup stuff?
Both.
But
I do service two advisors currently, and it's set up in different ways. So I can definitely speak to both ways. One, it is just email and it comes from a support at xyzadvisor.com. And then the other one is, hey, I have a phone line and I answer the phone during a certain hour because, hey, I know the advisor's in, an appointment right now. So I take over the phone. So it is both ways and it can be set up in both ways. So, if it is a support at XYZ Advisors and then, it's an office one, maybe it is shared with the advisor, but, that's my sole responsibility to make sure that it is managed. And then it gets no, we don't want to say this, but whenever another, admin, comes in, it's already set up for them at that point, and the advisor never loses emails. That's a big thing that I have seen an advisor go through is I lost emails whenever I lost my last admin. Okay,
Yeah.
let's change that. So there's definitely a lot of just the daily communication of, yeah, again, hey, I sent this e-sign out and it's been a week. Okay, so let's start, our weekly or, our 2 to 3 day kind of follow up or is there something that we're missing? Like, hey, we need this one thing, or hey, we're missing a statement for this transfer. That's where my follow up is. And I like to, one advisor calls them cloud tasks. Okay, hey, I'm missing this one statement. Like, this is a cloud task that Caroline can take care of. Like, yeah, I'm going to be the one following up, trying to find that statement, and they don't need to be worrying about in the middle of the night, like, oh gosh, I still didn't email this person because we still don't have this statement. Like, that's where I'm going to be coming in and taking care of a lot of those really small cloud tasks. And that's where the communication is it if it's Slack, if it's another one that, different broker dealers approve, or if it's, hey, here's a task in the CRM, and then I assign, he's like they will assign it to me, and then I continue to move that and follow up. And then they can also see it. Hey, I emailed this day, I called this day. Okay, like she's still on top of it. She's still taking care of it. It just hasn't been done yet. And then, hey, that next Monday meeting, like, hey, I still haven't been able to get a hold of this person. Yeah, they're kind of slow. Like, oh, that's great to know, or don't email them because they don't check their email. Like, hey, that's good to know. So I will make sure to call next time. There's a lot of that communication that will just kind of fall into place with some of those puzzle pieces.
Yeah, well, so you brought up like communication. So you mentioned Slack. What do you find, and I'm assuming both your advisors do it differently and maybe advisors in the past, like is it using the CRM and creating tasks for you? Is it Slack? Is it just like a good old-fashioned Excel sheet or Word document kind of going back and forth? Like what's sort of
Yep.
the best practice around like communicating tasks? So like that I don't feel like I have to check in with you and be like, did you do it? Did you do
Yeah.
it? Did you do that? Like
Yes.
how do I know when you've done so? Like what's the best method that you've seen for that?
Yep. So definitely, and Belay pushes this, and I also absolutely stand behind it, is we like to do a 2 hour at least virtual nod. And my standard is 1 hour. So hey, like this is a great example. Hey, like they left a voicemail. Can you please call them back? Like, hey, this is an ASAP thing. They're going to forward me an email, but then they're also going to Slack me and says, hey, check your email. Okay, I'm going to move on to there. So the Slack is a little bit more of like, hey, trying to answer this on an account application, or I'm trying to answer this, like, what's the answer? Or like, hey, is this okay? Yes. But to actually assign is in the CRM because they can then at 10 o'clock at night go in and check, when was the last time I reached out to someone, because they don't need to be, I'm not going to reply to a Slack at 10 o'clock at night,
Right.
so they can, so those assignments, and then like, or they'll Slack and say, hey, if they're just trying to offload something, like, hey, this person texted me, hey, we need to get them off a text. Like, okay, then I'm going to create a task for myself, and then I'm going to keep my log of information in that task so they can see what's going on. So it's a
Inside
little,
of the CRM.
yeah, so it is a
Okay.
little bit of both of like, Slack is a great one. Like, hey, the Zoom link's not working. Okay, like let's get that fixed. And I
Okay.
had that earlier this week of, hey, a Zoom link isn't working, so you're not alone in that, Libby. So, but yeah, so Slack would be a lot of like just the one-off questions. Or hey, I'm running 5 minutes behind because my Uber's late. Like, for our phone call. Okay, sounds good. But a lot of those are gonna, I like them to live in the CRM because everyone can check at different times, and it's not just up to me to then be responding. So if there is a ASAP one, like, hey, call this person back before the market closes, Slack me that, please, because I will see that faster than I see the CRM.
hmm
And then I will get that, then I'll respond over Slack. Yep, okay, I'm on it in 20 minutes, or hey, it is going to take me, till, 2 o'clock until I get to this. And then that communication is a little bit more open of like when tasks, like, yes, I know I'm going to get to it. But then, the Slack or the CRM is also going to have, hey, the daily tasks, that are maybe scheduled a week out because we have XYZ going on.
Okay, I love that. So Slack for like immediate needs,
Yes,
email
please.
or CRM take like for kind of the longer term stuff.
Yes.
Um, okay, that makes perfect sense. And you mentioned like a 2 hour nod or a 1 hour nod. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think Kyle, he does, he, like Belay says, our admins are gonna do a 2 hour virtual nod of, if it's at least a thumbs up, or again, hey, I'm gonna get to it and look at this task in 20 minutes, or hey, I'm gonna be getting to it at 3 o'clock today. At least just that nod and acknowledgement from us saying, yes, I see you, I hear you, like we're gonna get on it. And so I do like to say 1 hour for myself. I like to set myself that expectation, especially with Slack. I personally don't have email on my phone, so if you send me an email, I'm not gonna read it But if you send me a Slack that says, hey, sent you an email, this needs to be done before XYZ time, as long as you're not setting something up like, hey, I need you to call this person, like, uh, or this thing needs to be done before a certain time. Okay, like that's where that needs to be communicated. Preferably on that Monday call of like, hey, we have this and I want this sent out before this date. But that's where Slack yeah, definitely comes in and says, hey, this needs to be done. Yes, got it. I'm going to be on it at 3 o'clock today.
Okay, perfect. Well, good. I want to ask, so for those of you listening, what questions do you guys have? Like, obviously you're here. Um, if finding good help is hard. It really is, especially like pre-trained, like good help is hard. But like, and so we have to be kind of in today's world open to, and I've seen this a lot with advisors recently who are like, I'm just gonna have to start looking virtually for somebody. And or I have a really good person who is in office and now they're moving and I'm really anxious about what that's gonna look like. Um, now that they'll be virtual, like, is it kind of the same? So we have a few questions in the comments. One is about Belay specifically, but Eva asked, how do you help advisors prioritize their email inboxes? Like, what are best tips and practices for email management?
Love it. Okay, so definitely we have that, hey, this needs to be handled today. And sometimes at that point, I will also assign the advisor a task. Like, hey, I'm checking email inbox and I see so and so emailed XYZ, hey, we have this, family event going, or we have this, thing happening. Hey, this is a really good client. We don't want to make sure that this gets like talk to pretty quickly. It is a Slack or it is a task in the CRM. Hey, we need to make sure we get this responded to because it's XYZ. Obviously, money movement, some of those compliance things, we do move to the top. So inbox should be 0. Then we have today's tasks for today, or this is within, 2 to 3 days. And then if it does get to be 2 to 3 days out and something isn't responded to, then I'm moving it to today or, making sure that that CRM is a task at that point. I love tasks in, Wealthbox and Redtail.
Yep.
Like, hey, and then I can attach it, Wealthbox, not to put too much of stuff out for Wealthbox, but hey, here's the task we need to get this person replied to, or hey, we need to get verbal confirmation. Here's the email that they sent us. So
Mhm.
it does all kind of go together at that point. But definitely, 2 to 3 days. And then obviously what you have as your best practice in your office is just again communicate that to us and just say, hey, we want something responded within 24 hours. And then if it is a, hey, thanks for your email, I have Kyle on it, and we're going to be getting back to you within a day or two. Even just an acknowledgement helps a lot. If it is getting to be too much of an email inbox disaster for some people.
So if you were coming into an inbox, it's like, maybe I'm not saying it's me, but like I'm asking for a friend. If you came into an inbox that maybe has like hundreds of emails currently sitting in it, what would be kind of the main file folders that you would set up immediately to be like, let's get Libby's really good friend, not Libby, of course, but Libby's really good friend's mess under control? Like where would you start with that?
So probably again, sometimes simpler is better of, hey, here's like invoices for the phone. So there's an invoices one, or kind of like here's invoices for the cleaning people. So all those are gonna go into here. Then there's that again, that 2 to 3 day communication and then immediate
Like,
action.
are we calling it like 2 to 3 days or like work in
It
progressy kind of
does
thing?
depend kind of, or maybe in
Yeah.
progress stuff.
Okay.
Hey, like here's like an in
Mhm.
progress of like, hey, this needs to be, handled.
Mhm.
And then I know advisors, you get a lot of the wholesalers, a lot of wholesale emails, and then all of those, get to go into one as well because those definitely accumulate very quickly.
Like, how do you learn that? Like, how does a VA learn, like, okay, this is what a wholesaler is, and here's all the stuff from them. Like, how do you discern between junk mail and like, advisor might actually be somewhat interested in this?
again, that communication, like for me, that very first one-on-one that I have with someone, hey, who do you like to talk to? Like, that is just one of my questions that I like to ask. Again, I can't speak to every admin that you're going to talk to, but like maybe that's something that you say, hey, I talk to MFS, but I don't talk to BlackRock. Okay, great information. Thank you for that. Like
And then
that's
where are
something I
you
need to
keeping
know.
this? Because you're not keeping this all up in your noodle. Where are you storing it?
So Belay has a really good workbook for us that
Okay.
can be shared with the client. And there's a lot of there's a drop down. It says daily tasks, monthly tasks, like just setting the expectation of what am I doing every day? I'm checking email every day. I'm sending the daily reports every day. Every month, I'm sending the birthday report. So that's where a lot of that lives. And then there is a section of just some of that general information. And I add a lot in there of that, like, hey, MFS, no BlackRock. It's like, we're gonna
Okay.
Yeah.
make sure that that communication is there. And then, hey, we're gonna start using, T. Rowe Price. Okay, so we're gonna, make sure that there's some, communication does get funneled in the right way, and I'm not taking those to somewhere else if we are gonna start using those in models.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
is this is such a simple practical tip, but my assistant goes in, and if even from the like partner side for me, it's a lot of times you just can't tell. Is this legit? Is this not? What do you want me to do with it? And she will just draft up an email to herself, and it just says interested, and I say yes or no, and then she can now kind of mentally block that as okay, this fits in something that for the future I can now take and own and reply to, or this fits into, no, actually, this was more of a spam and we're just gonna, filter it out.
Okay, interesting. I like that because that's always kind of like, okay, but where do you keep all that knowledge? Because you can't just, especially
Right.
when you're working with two different advisors at two different firms at like two different things, and you're not alone. We have a lot of teams where each advisor, I mean, ideally we're all on the same processes, but where this
Right.
advisor might be interested in, I mean, obviously we're going to always flag efficient advisor emails as yes, you want to read those, but like some people might not be interested in getting my emails. Some people might. Like, how do you keep all that? So there's like a workbook or like a Word document or some sort of like sheet like that you're tracking all of your tasks that are happening and like those little kind of side notes. Okay. I like that. What else do you guys have? What other questions about like the practicality of a VA? If not, I have some more that were emailed in. Feel free to unmute. You don't have to just type it in the chat if you don't want to. Okay. So Ben asked for an advisor already using a email management tool like SaneBox, would that still work to have like a belay VA involved in that piece?
I definitely don't have to be involved. One advisor I do get involved with their inbox and one I don't. So we definitely don't have to be involved. And you set the stage for what we are helping you with. If it is email that's keeping you up at 10 o'clock at night, or you're still deleting emails at the dinner table tonight, like then obviously that should be a sign that, hey, I do need help with this. But
Yeah.
if you do already have a tool, then great. That's probably not one of your cloud tasks going on. So it does depend, and it goes both ways.
So one of the questions that was sent in, and thank you for that. One of the questions that I have sent in was how do you build culture and like team building and rapport when most of your work is done through Slack, through email, and maybe the rare, video like call? How do you actually like build a relationship and build connection? And how do we make Caroline want us to win and get excited? Like, how do we make sure you're happy working here and that you're excited about the work that we're doing together?
Definitely telling the clients too, like if you have a monthly newsletter, put my face in there. There is a really cool tool called BombBomb. It's like a little like recording tool. And I have done that. I've done little intro videos and they will send it out. Hey, I'm Caroline, new to the team. Can't wait to, meet you, whether that be over phone or email, XYZ, kind of go through that intro and just making sure that you are saying, hey, she might be calling. So, don't be scared if you get an email from, XYZ email because hey, she's part of our team and she might be talking to you. But again, I really, really encourage those one-on-one phone calls weekly, just so you kind of know what's going on in the office. Another one. you can include them, if you do have a client event. I'm actually traveling this fall for a client event to put myself in front of some clients, which I'm really excited about. Um, and then also like onboarding calls or like, hey, we have a virtual one does sole virtual appointments. Okay, so I sometimes will join for the first 5 to 10 minutes. Hey, how you doing? Are your e-statements doing okay? Is everything, okay with your online access? Like, hey, I know we need to get this information from you. Instead of doing it over email, I will join some of those, or I will join the onboarding call and just says, hey, here's the team. Caroline's going to be helping with the transfer paperwork, and making sure that this is done for you. If you get a call from her, an email from her, this is who you're talking to. So I do get included in a lot of phone calls or Zooms. And then, yeah, my first client event that I'll be traveling for.
Okay, that's so fun because you bring up a good point. Because right, sometimes I think when we think VA, we think behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like yes, you're emailing clients, but you're not necessarily like client facing. So like belay question in general, but I'm like, okay, that's definitely something to screen for. Like, is that one of the things that you guys are asking? Like, hey, are you cool showing up on video and talking to random people, like into
Yeah.
advisors clients? Like, is that something you ask for or look for? Is that something an advisor would need to call out in the hiring process? Like, hey, we're gonna have you be zooming in. So like you're gonna have to wear pants every now and then when you're working and call some clients.
Yeah, I'll speak to that too. As a part of the discovery and matching process, I think that's where a lot of the early culture match is also happening. It starts with us wanting to go out and find Carolines, right? And it starts with the type of people that we want to partner with, like you, Libby, right? Like there's a lot of like-mindedness there as far as who we are attracting clients and who we are attracting on the assistants, which makes that match so much better. But I will also say, even as a part of the process, we're going to spend at least an hour on a discovery call with each of our clients to say, hey, tell me all about you. Tell me all about your business. Let your personality come out. Talk about the thing. Do you want this person to be client facing or do you want them to just be behind the scenes? Do you do a Christmas party for your clients every year? And that's a huge part of your business and you want your person to be there. On the other side of that process, once we post that job to say, hey, Libby's excited and ready and committed to hire a client service assistant. Now the people on the other side are watching that video and they're either getting really excited or not, but hopefully really excited to say, oh, I love Libby's vibe. I love the business that she's created. I love her, some of the personal aspects of her life that she wants this person to step into. It is a two-way street, and that also gives the ability for our assistants to get really excited and digitally raise their hand to apply for it. And then now we are also going through all of our other criteria to make sure that we check as many of those boxes as possible to where that's where that 93% success match. It's a lot of that behind the scenes work that makes that happen.
Yeah, because I could see like me asking my VA, like, hey Jess, would you be willing to? And she'd be like
Yeah.
that is not her
That's
thing.
not what she wants to
Even
do.
on a call
Yep.
like this, she'd be like, if I have to, but that would
Right.
not be joy. Yeah, like that would be a hard ask for her. And not that that's like super necessary with what I do, but like thinking about how many spaces you could fill in your business with somebody who is willing to jump on a Zoom call and walk a client through an application or something along those lines. So
That's right.
probably thinking through ahead of time, these are the things. And I think the hard part for advisors, and we have another question, but I think one of the hard part for advisors is like sometimes they know they need help, but they don't even know the right, like where they need help and what people are even capable of and how they can even turn those things over. And so I think this is really helpful, like thinking maybe even a little bit bigger. Like when we think VA, we think the behind the scenes, the email management, the tasks, the applications. But it can be significantly larger than that in how someone plays into your business.
And I'll say real quick, I think that's why the wealth management space has been somewhere that we really want to continue to dive into. I mean, we are a human product, right? I mean, and certainly we're coming in. You can already hear from Caroline how much of the technology she's involved in, which is very beneficial for a fractional model. It's like, hey, you might be paying for 10 or 20 hours a week, and you're like, wow, it feels like I have a full-time employee. And at the
Hmm.
same time, we want people that really want to be an extension of these leaders. That typically means they really value having an opportunity to be client facing, having an opportunity to communicate. That's not always the case, but that is typically who we attract. And I think that fits really well with most of the people on this call are also highly relational. It's why they're having such success in building their own wealth management practice because it's a lot of relationships. So to have that right hand that also fits that mold is another reason that we really love being in this space.
Okay, so Tom asked the question about like how is with belay specifically, how is billing done, like regardless of how busy you are. So it's
Yep.
blocks of time. And then my question for Caroline is how do you manage that? So like if I have 10 hours, Jim has 10 hours, and Kyle has 20 hours, are you like so when you say your hour nod, am I able to communicate with you any day or do I have you set days at set times? Like what does that look like?
So I can go ahead and take over real fast is some people like, hey, I don't work on Fridays, but I need you to do email triage pretty quick in the morning. Okay, that's fine. So it can be for the advisors I work for currently, it is the 5 days. And I know that's against your model, Libby, but
No, no, that's just my no. If you want to work full time, that's
no.
everybody's journey. Mine, that
Yes.
was just not mine.
Yes. But so like, on Mondays, hey, I don't have client appointments, but I'm working on this. So I'm going to be one advisor has a podcast. Hey, my on this first Wednesday of every month, I'm going to be inaccessible. So I need you to make sure you're doing email triage, making sure this is happening. But so there's a let me get back to your question. Yes, I have certain hours that I do block off based on my schedule, and that has aligned with my advisors. So in the afternoon, I have a solid hour every day that I answer the phones. For another one, it's hey, they want their reports by 9 a.m. So I have my block of time then. And it has just been a lot of communication and figuring out what the advisor's expectations are of I want my reports by 9. I need you answering phone calls during this time. And I track it all via Toggle. That's just the tool that I use. And one advisor wants the breakdown of how much time were you on Zoom this week? What was the amount of time that we were working on marketing stuff, if there was marketing involved? How much time were we doing, like more admin tasks versus like actual tasks that I assign you. So there's some breakdown that can be had that I can, that we will send out if requested, obviously. But again, it's just that communication. So I do go back and forth, and I have everything kind of separated in my mind of how I do things. And again, setting the expectation of, hey, this needs to be done, or on that Monday call, hey, this task is assigned for Wednesday, but I want it done before noon. Okay,
Hmm.
that I need to know that so I can prioritize them in that way.
Hmm. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And then Kyle, like 10 hours is the minimum. Is it 5 hour block? Like what does that look
Yeah,
like?
it starts at 45 hours per month. That breaks down into 10-hour weeks or about 2 hours a day. So, and those are things that we also want to pull out because you might say, hey, every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, I have this thing happening that I need you to be available for every time. We want to know that on the front end because we want to go find someone that obviously 2 o'clock on Tuesdays works for. So a lot of that is managing that, but we will also consult you on based on what those initial needs are that you think that you have. We'll also help expand your horizon on what's possible to say, hey, a 65-hour a month package is what's going to be great for you to start with. Now that is billed once a month. You just pay belay. We handle everything else of that behind the scenes. So you get one bill every single month. So Tom, to come back to your answer on that, we handle. You don't have to handle benefits, anything else of that. We handle all of that piece. And then you also do have flexibility on that. So if summers are slower and you need to dial back and fall is really busy, you need to dial up, like we can have those conversations. And that's where we step in and proactively approach that too.
Okay, I love that. So it's ba blocks of time weekly, but billed monthly. And then if I
That's
want to
correct.
increase, so if I'm roughly 10 hours a week and I want to increase it, what's the next level up?
So you can go, it really goes in increments of 20 hours per month. So
Okay.
45 hours, 65 hours, 85 hours. We cap it at 130 hours because if it's not a full-time model, but you can get a lot of that. Typically, our average package size would be right in the 65 to 85 hours a month.
Perfect. That's yeah, that's amazing. And Carolyn, like I'm already like super impressed with all of this, like the lingo, like all the things, like the The caliber is clearly very, very, very high, which I love. Okay, so a couple more questions. Let me just make sure there aren't any new ones in the chat here. Okay,
And
perfect.
I know Caroline might have to jump here in a couple minutes. So Caroline, if you need to jump early, I
Don't
can
worry,
finish
I
up
know
with
we're
there.
coming
Yep.
across time.
Yep.
Yeah, so as far as like organizing like what's next, are advisors sending you to trainings? Are they training you on the next thing? Are you going out and doing stuff like through Belay industry wise that you're coming back to the advisor with? How do we continue to increase your knowledge base over time? Like, what's the best way for us to do that?
So again, I mean, in this line, we are coming from history of being with a broker dealer. Again, you're not training us what a Roth IRA is. I know what a Roth IRA is. I'm going to know these limits. I'm going to, know a lot of that. And there's a lot of, depending on the broker dealer of, hey, there's some, enhancements coming with the account opening tool, or there's enhancements coming with this. The advisor will say, hey, we're doing a lot of e-signs lately. Make sure that you attend this webinar, through the broker dealer to make sure that we can, help our clients do the e-sign correctly the first time, and then making sure that, we're getting everything maybe bundled together correctly so that we're not sending out more than one email for e-sign because those get lost. So it is a lot. There is, some like, hey, I would like to start passing off annuity entry stuff. Okay, I have some, maybe that person does or does not have some of that, but let's walk through it together. Again, hopefully that broker dealer has, the how-tos on how to get some of that started. But it is a lot of just communication of, hey, I literally had this morning actually. Hey, I have some questions on this annuity form. I don't feel comfortable answering them. Hey, let's hop on a call and we're gonna walk through the rest of it. And so I know in the future. Sounds great. So we hopped on a call this morning. We went through the rest of that form and I got it submitted.
Okay, I love that. Eva asked, and this is a good question I want to ask before you have to jump. If you could only pick three things for the average advisor to delegate to you, what would you suggest having the highest impact on their business?
Client follow-up. Again, if you're missing something, I should have prepared that one a little bit more, but yeah,
That's
definitely client follow-up, scheduling a course, and then like again, if we're doing like monthly scheduling, or if like, hey, I'm behind on annual reviews, I'm going to take a look at that. And then like any reporting stuff that you have to do, hey, I need to run these reports every day, or hey, I need to do XYZ to send to my broker dealer for something. Definitely those three would be, I from the people I've talked to and the advisors I've been under, those have been kind of the top three. Hey, get this started right away.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here. And I know, Kyle, I feel like you had a resource that you gave us that had like a certain number of tasks that you suggest delegating right away, correct?
Yes, we do. Yeah, I think
Okay.
there's the
I have that.
25 delegate. Perfect. Yeah,
Yes.
it's 20
Okay, I
25
have
tasks
that.
specific for financial advisors.
Okay, perfect. So I will put this, I'm going to create the YouTube video for this, and I'll make sure I link that specific piece below for anyone who's wanting
Great.
to like look at a basic list. Um, the commitment piece, how long is the
Yes.
commitment for Belay? So Ben asked, is it annual? Is it month to month? What does that look like?
It is technically a month-to-month contract. We ask for a 30-day out just to take care of and honor our Carolines of the world as well. If you are making a switch, we want them to be able to plan accordingly for their personal lives as well. However, I will say it's not a great service to sign up for 3 months, right? Like that's when you're really starting to hit your stride.
Yeah.
And we see our average duration for our clients, like how long they stay with us, is about 26 months. And there's a lot of different reasons that kind of go into that, but that couple year mark is really where you're really getting to see the long term benefits of your working with your assistant.
Yeah, and I always say to people too, like, so if you're thinking about like measurements of like how much is this actually saving me and time and stress and all of the things, like when we have someone who's working for us 10 hours a week, that's one fourth of a full-time person. Like we can't have our expectations be 6 months in that they're going to be saving us like 40 hours a week when they're only working for us 10. Or, there's a long time sometimes like a tail between like training and teaching and seeing and feeling the impact. So you kind of do have to give it a little bit of time, right? Like, and I think sometimes we come into it with unrealistic expectations, thinking
Right.
10 hours a week right away is going to start saving us 10 hours right away, when really the lag time on that is big. And we can't expect 10 hours a week to save us 40 hours a week, right? Like, so
That's right.
we have to keep really reasonable expectations coming into
Right.
a part-time, specifically a part-time relationship, if that's what people are interested
Right. I couldn't agree more. And certainly, we're not paying to get 10 hours back a week so that we can kick our feet up on our desk, right? The
in.
other
Right.
side of that coin and where you really see that return is saying, okay, if I did outsource 10 hours a week back, now what would I do with that, right? And that's where I think you're really taking a bet on yourself. You're starting to say, okay, I've been wanting to do this educational webinar with the Chamber of Commerce to get some new clients that I've been thinking about forever, or I've been wanting to write this new educational material that I want to put out there, or there's this new group that I want to go and become a part of because I know that there's people in there that I have the opportunity to serve. It frees up for those that were no's because you're saying I'm too busy to say, well, now I've got the time to do it. So what's holding me back? I got to go say yes to these things, and that to me is what really grows your business. And it allows you as the advisor to do only what really the work that only you can do, which is that client facing work that should result in growth.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Caroline.
Yeah.
I know it's a big
Yes.
ask for you to take your time to share with this kind of, but I think it's super important for us to hear it from the person who's actually like doing the thing
Yeah.
and
It is.
managing the stuff. And like all advisors are crazy. It's really figuring out which brand of crazy your advisor is and working within
Yes.
those constraints that they have. But yeah, thank you. And thanks to Belay. Like, you guys are an awesome partner, and it's been great because that's one of the biggest hangups for advisors is, where do I find a good person? I don't I'm not a hiring expert. Like, I'm not a lead. Like, I came in this to be an advisor. Now all of a sudden here I am owning my own business, hiring,
Right.
doing HR, like all of these things. And I think the biggest gap for most people is they don't necessarily need someone full time right away. They just need that 10 hours, or they just need that 20
Right.
hours a week. And there's not a lot of individuals out there who are able to piece together multiple people wanting 10 hours a week or 15 hours a week on their own. So it's a cool service. I wish it would have been around when I was running my practice, because I can think about how many times that would have come in wildly handy, especially with people having like a background in it, is amazing. So thank you both for your time. Thank you for being here.
Yep.
Thank you
Yes.
guys for
Thank you
showing
guys.
up. And if you have any other questions, please let me know, and I will be happy to funnel them to Kyle and Caroline and get responses, or get things answered as you guys start to think through what that might look like to work virtually with somebody in your business.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Libby.
All
Appreciate you
right.
having us.
Thank you
Absolutely.
guys.
Thanks
I
so much.
gotta hop.
Appreciate
You
it.
guys have a good
Thanks.
one.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.